Hello to anyone that's watching. This tarot reading is going to be all about the way that you stand out from the crowd. So how it's going to be laid out is similar to the last reading I did where there's not really a specific layout. I'm just going to let whatever comes out come out and then we'll go from there. I also have Oracle that I've already pulled for each pile. So I'll get into that when I'm done doing the tarot. Whatever one calls out to you the most, they're all the same card, just different decks. Whatever one calls out to you the most, you can pick. Or if you'd rather pick from the crystals, you can do that, or you could do both too. Whatever one feels like your intuition is guiding you to. But without further ado, I'm going to get right into the video. If you chose pile 1 or the pineapple calcite, then this is going to be all about how you stand out from the crowd. So right off the bat, with the pineapple calcite, it's associated with the solar plexus chakra. So that is all about like confidence and self-expression. So I would say whether or not you're like super confident or you consider yourself confident, I would say that other people perceive you to be very confident, and that kind of helps you stick out from the crowd. You just kind of exude that. So with the star card that you picked as well, I could see you as being someone too that could visualize when something's wrong with someone, or like you can sense a certain area where someone might need healing, if that makes sense. You could just be an empath as well. But with these like vertebrae, it kind of makes me think that maybe you see like very specific down to the bone what it is that someone is struggling with, if that makes sense. Excuse me. So I'll keep that up here. I feel like I want it in the middle. So I'll keep that there and I'll get into your tarot. It's a very pretty card. You could be good with your hands too, because the hand is significant there in that card. Can I just mention too that it took me like, it's the first time it's happened. I normally get anxious, but like this took me like probably 10 tries to like sit down and get it right. You could be a perfectionist. I'm like that too, but this is the first time it took me that long. The Tower. And rods, I believe, is wands. So the King of Wands in reverse. Oh my god. That flew. The Three of Swords. And ooh, clarify that. The Knight of Cups in reverse. And let's get one for Under the Star. The Nine of Swords. And at the bottom of the deck, we've got the Eight of Wands. Yeah. It always confuses me when they like change the suits. Not that it's like fully changed, but it's a little bit different for me. I can kind of assume. So we've got the Tower here, clarified by the King of Wands and reversed. This really makes me think that like you don't take anyone's crap. So that could be something that really makes you stand out, is that you're a very cutthroat person. And as soon as someone messes up, say however many times you have in your books that it takes for them to mess up like royally, you cut them out of your life. I think that's why like instead of like traditional imagery, it's interesting that it's a bunch of skulls like piled up. You could also, just with this deck, be interested in like forensics or anything involving like bones, or you could also love like botany as well. This makes me think of like is it the Paris catacombs? So that could have been something that interested you. Or I'm seeing like just old like history as well, like historic buildings could be significant to you. And for some reason, I'm thinking of Silence of the Lambs, so that movie could be significant. Maybe it's one that you haven't watched in a while that you should watch. But yeah, I definitely feel like you're a very cutthroat person. And it's interesting that like this is in reverse. It's kind of like the light and the dark. So I feel like maybe it gives me like Scorpio rising energy, where it's like to a lot of people you come off as very like cold, direct, like stale faced, if that makes sense. But in reality you're actually very like happy and outgoing. I think trust is a big thing for you. You have to really grow that over time. You could make other people anxious as well. That's another thing that I could see as well as being a possibility. With the King of Wands in reverse, I think when it comes to like people that are very like that take their power too far, like there are people who are in power, whether that be like a manager position or whether that be like someone that acts like they are above you. I think when it comes to people like that, you just can't stand it, and you're the first one to like shut them down and be like, we're all equal. There's no need for you to act like you're better than or whatever. We're all the same, which is really cool. You could be like a very good activist. If you haven't traveled a lot, I feel like that's something that you should do or you're going to do. I could see you as like an anthropologist, even just generally, like just kind of going all over the world at different locations, even if just to visit, just to see it. It could be something that you've researched a lot but haven't really actually put a lot of action towards. But I could see that as like a possibility in the future for sure. So then, clarifying the star card, we have the I'm blanking on it now, the Nine of Swords. And with the Nine of Swords, there's a lot of like anxiety. But I feel like, I don't know what it is with anxiety in this reading. There's just a lot of it. You could be a very anxious person. I just feel like you're very closed off as well, which isn't a crime. You're allowed to be closed off, especially if, like I was saying, like you have issues with like trusting people or opening up to people. Oh, there's a saying that I'm thinking of, but I can't bring it. It's not coming out. Okay. The best way that I can describe it that might make sense to someone else is like a hedgehog. And I know that's a silly example, but like the way that they're all soft and fluffy like underneath, but like when they get scared or when they feel like they need to be on defense, they take their spines or their spikes and they ball up so that nobody can hurt them. So I feel like that could be something that kind of represents you in a way, where it's like you are this soft and nice person, but a lot of times you've had to have that defense mechanism, and that's kind of how you come off a little bit cold sometimes. Which, depending on who you ask, that could be like, I don't know if YouTube cares about this, but like badass. Like that's kind of the vibe that you get from it. So then we move over here and we've got the Three of Swords and the Knight of Cups in reverse. I think you aren't one to shy away from dealing with pain. I feel like that's something that you're always working on. And things that no longer belong in your life, cord cutting, could be significant to you. Things that are no longer in your life or no longer serve you, you're not afraid to cut those ties off, you're not afraid to cut those connections and get rid of it and allow something better to come in. I feel like the thought, I feel like maybe you've been through a lot of pain as well. So the thought of new people coming into your life can be hard for you, but you know that at the end of the day, when you cut off the people that aren't meant to be in your life or who kind of bring you down, as soon as you cut those people out, it opens new doors for better people to come in. So with the Eight of Wands here, I'm sorry in advance too. I know I'm being a little bit like, my speech is weird when I get anxious and stuff. With the Eight of Wands, so it's all about fast-paced movement, especially when it comes to like your hobbies, your passions, what it is that drives you. And I feel like this is a very different, like it's almost separate from this. So I feel like the message that I'm getting from this is just kind of an extra on the side. It's not necessarily how people perceive you, but I feel like there are big things coming when it comes to what you love, the things that you do. If there's been something that you've been wanting to put your energy into but haven't had the chance to, or have been sidetracked, I think that when the time's right and when you feel ready to do it, it will move very fast for you. And I don't think that you will have any trouble when it comes to making the wheels turn and making things go positively for you. I think that they'll all work out really good. And then what is this? The Six of Swords reversed, moving on into calmer waters as well. So maybe that'll help you with that. So I'll get right into the oracle. Also, I'm sorry if you hear people in the background. Can't help it. I live in an apartment. It sucks. So I've got the Woods, and that's the Blair Witch Project. That card gives kind of a feeling of being stuck in a way, especially with the tears as well and kind of like the blank stare. You could feel very stuck where you are right now, or feel like things aren't turning. And I know you could hear this message like 1,000 times over, but like I want to reiterate that there is stuff coming for you. It's just about cutting off the right things and finding time when you can to do what you love. What you do, it could involve a camera or taking pictures. That could have to do with anthropology or whatever it is that you want to do. Nature could be big for you. The Blair Witch Project could just be a movie that you need to watch too. This pile, I think there was a movie that I mentioned earlier too. Horror movies in general could be significant to you, but those could be movies in particular that you should watch. So then we have the Mad Hatter, and it says, I can't go back to yesterday because I was a different person then. And I feel like that serves two different meanings. The first being that I can't go back to yesterday because I was a different person then. I just feel like that makes me think of like someone who gets in their head, like I was saying, with like that anxiety. You could ruminate a lot over that. Like, I think maybe self-confirmations or self-affirmations are very important, because it's true, like we can never go back to yesterday, but we can only improve going forward or change going forward. So that's something that could be significant for you to hear. I also think too that it just has to do with like the change and cutting people off that need to be cut off. You can't go back to yesterday because you'll just be sending yourself backwards. It's like, it would be like going 2 steps forward and 3 steps back. Like that song, Theory of a Dead Man. That could be significant too. And then for the song lyric, we have, every moment spent with you is a moment I treasure. So I think that people really do recognize the time with you as something that, it's like things that create core memories. Like the memories that people have with you are ones that they don't forget. I also want to point out, this is I Don't Want to Miss a Thing by Aerosmith, also could be significant. Another thing I want to point out is with this card, I did these cards myself, and this one is the one that I cut out really unevenly, and you can probably see it, how it just cut like that. If you are a perfectionist, like I think I had mentioned that earlier too. If you're a perfectionist, sometimes it's okay to just let things go and know that it was meant to be that way for a reason. And just flow with it. Sometimes things are uneven. Some things just don't come out the way you want them to, and that's okay. And then we have Aunt May. You could have like a motherly energy as well. And then she's got plants here as well, so plants could be significant to you. Maybe it would be beneficial for you to research certain plants and certain things when it comes to botany. And then home is never too far away. So whatever home means to you, that message is a really beautiful one, because it really makes me think that like there's nothing that can keep you from doing what it is that makes you happy or bringing you to what makes you happy. You're in control, you're steering the wheel. And it's never too far away. So then we have hard work, diligence, and progress, and that is adversary. So, and I think that has to do with when it comes to this, whatever it is with your hobbies, passions, whatever you love. It's that hard work pays off. And definitely, I feel like if you've been wanting change for a long time, if you've been begging for change for a long time, it feels like it's about to start turning, like I had said. So all the things that you've done, they are finally going to pay off, and you will feel the benefits from that. And then we have Wolf Moon. I will watch over you. So there could be a lot of people in your life that are watching out for you, even ones that you wouldn't suspect, or even in like the spirit world or whatever you believe in, you could have a lot of people watching over you and protecting you and making sure that whatever it is that is going to happen happens when it's meant to and when it can fully flourish the way that it's meant to. But all in all, it seems like a very positive message. 10/6, I don't know if that date is significant. What would that be? May 10th? I'm not sure. Or what's the 10th month? Now I'm gonna forget. October 6th. So those 2 dates could be significant. But yeah, I feel like there's divine protection, and also it could be divine intervention going on with whatever it is. Maybe it's just, if it feels like your answers aren't coming true or your prayers aren't coming true, it could just be that it's not that they aren't coming true, but it's just not time yet. And there's a big, even with the Mad Hatter, like that makes me think of like, obviously like Alice in Wonderland with the rabbit and the time and whatever. So maybe it's a sign just to not rush into things and take things one at a time and go with that. So there is definitely a lot of beautiful things to come in your life though, so it's definitely something to look forward to, and I wish you the best. Alright, if you chose pile 2 or the purple flame opal, I think I'm saying that right, then this is going to be all about how you stand out from the crowd. So to start off, this crystal is all about the third eye and psychic abilities. So you could have a very strong intuition or a strong sense of things that are going to happen in whatever way that comes in for you. And then we also have Dolly Parton with the Star card, and the song is 9 to 5. So the lyrics for this one, I have been like really wanting to use this deck since I got it, and I absolutely adore it because I love music and I love tarot, so it's two of my favorite things together. But anyway, the lyric is, tumble out of bed and I stumble to the kitchen, pour myself a cup of ambition. So it just makes me think of someone who's very hard working and determined to make things happen. You could also be the type of person that, this was kind of a theme in the past reading, but I'm just gonna give like the same kind of, well, not really advice because I feel like you already live this way, but whatever happens today becomes the past tomorrow. So tomorrow is always a new day and a new chance to make things happen in the way that you want them to, or to change things that maybe you weren't happy about that happened yesterday. So I feel like that's definitely something that you could what is the word for that? Like, it's like your policy in life. Dolly Parton was also, if I remember this correctly, kind of went from like having nothing to having a lot. You could be a very humble person as well, but definitely Dolly Parton is the kind of person that sticks out from the crowd, which makes sense for her being like the star. But yeah, I'm gonna get right into it. I really love Dolly Parton. She's definitely an icon. She earned her place in this deck for sure. It's also like, I have to show the backs. Like, it's so pretty. Like, I don't know. I just adore it already. These are a little bit hard to shuffle though. I will I will say that. Purple and pink could be significant colors for you. Maybe like very like bright, even pastel colors. Okay, so this is the Page of Swords, and the lyric is from Unwritten by Natasha Bedingfield, I think it is, or something along those lines. You could have a childlike way of speaking, but like in a good way, not in a bad, not in a bad way. I'm just gonna see what else. I'm getting ahead of myself. But I think with what I was saying about the past also applies to the future. You could be a person that's trying like to live in the present as much as you can, because even the future we can't stress about, and we can't stress about the past either. Let me see. Oh, okay. The Queen of Cups in reversed. Pale in your shadow. I'm gonna check up that. I kept the book right here because I knew that there's gonna be certain songs that I couldn't figure out. But with the Page of Swords and the Queen of Cups in reverse, let me just find this really quick. Gold Dust Woman by Fleetwood Mac. So that could be a significant, I'm actually gonna move that back here. Significant song. Gold could be your color too. You could be more of a warm tone person. But what makes you stick out from the crowd is that you're not afraid to say things. I feel like you have a newer perspective on things, or a very good perspective, good morals. And I think you're not afraid to speak your mind when it comes to that. And also, I don't think you're afraid to let your inner child speak once in a while, if that makes sense. Let it out. To sing, to dance. You could be like very involved with music as well. It could be very healing for you, considering this is like all about like songs and stuff like that. So with that being clarified by the Queen of Cups in reverse, maybe sometimes it's hard. I feel like you could be in a position where you take care of a lot of people. Like that could just be like part of your personality, where you're very giving. I'm gonna keep shuffling while I read that. Where you're very giving, and sometimes to a fault, where you give too much and don't give enough to yourself. But people definitely notice how giving you are. That's not something that goes unnoticed by people. It doesn't hurt to pour it back into yourself once in a while, though, too. Oh, the Tower reversed was right there. These cards are really big, too, but I love it. Okay. And then I'll get one more. Oh, that's three. Okay, and then the Seven of Swords on the bottom of the deck. I have no clue where I'm going to put this. Can I put it over there? I'll just put it here. Okay, so the lyric with the Seven of Cups is, some of them want to use you, some of them, I can't really read it, but I think it's want to be used by you. And that is, I literally was just talking about this song, and I'm gonna blank on it. Sweet dreams are made of this, yeah. So with the Seven of Cups reversed, that song could be significant. See, it's hard because you almost want to read it like an oracle and then you want to read it like a tarot, so it's interesting in that way. But, so the Seven of Cups in reverse, it could be that maybe once you stick to something, you stay with it. You could be one of those people that's very, like, strong-willed and, like, you feel like decisions that you make are almost set in stone in a way because you just want to be, like, you have a lot of integrity and people see that. And with the Tower reversed, I think it's because you like that stability, like you like to have things feel like they are, I was gonna say normal, but not normal, but just stable. You like things to feel like they are good and like you don't have to worry. That could come too, like with this card, it could come from a place of having to have worked a lot to get to where you are, so the thought of change happening after you've already feel like you are settled in and like you don't want to change anything is a hard concept for you, even if sometimes like I say over here, like it's getting to a point where you're giving almost too much. And the situation that you're in, that could be different for everyone. This is also Amy Winehouse, and I cheated myself like I knew I would. I told you I was trouble. You know that I'm no good. That's the lyric. Which gives me a vibe of like, it's almost like self-deprecating in a way. So I hope you don't feel like that, but if there's someone out there that does feel like that, that's not true. And even when I say like you're almost overgiving, like to a fault, it's only a fault when it comes to you, not to other people, because I guess it can be a fault with other people because there are people who will take and never give back to you to the point where it's just completely draining and you can't take it anymore. But you really do need to give some of that to yourself as well because you're worthy of it. No matter the circumstances, people can wait. Other people can wait for your time or for you to be available. But yeah, I just feel like you can't get down on yourself, especially about stuff like that, because it really does come from a place of like wanting to help people and stuff. Also, sorry if you hear people in the background. There's people out there. And then for the star, or kind of just in front of the star, we have the Three of Cups, and the lyric is, I get knocked down, but I get up again. You are never gonna keep me down. What is that? I feel like I know that. Like, it's on the tip of my tongue, but I want to make sure I know the song. Or get the song to you in case it's important. Three of Cups. Chumpawampa? Tub thumping. So, I don't know if that's significant or not. But yeah, I just feel like because it's 2 cups and there's not actually 3 cups here, which I mean it's the same there, but here I really notice it. I feel like this is similar to the message that I was getting here, where it's like you've got to start pouring stuff into yourself. And I know that you could be very focused on like kind of getting by and like your day-to-day life. I feel like maybe you don't have time for things outside of that, outside of your home life, but it's time to get out and see things and either make new friends or take the friends that you have and do different things, figure things out with them and have fun. And I feel like it's getting to the point where, like, if you do feel stuck, like I'm kind of picking up on, like, I feel like you're ready to just break through those ties or whatever, those chains that are kind of holding you down right now. Because it's like, I get knocked down, but I get up again. You are never going to keep me down. It's like, it just makes me think of like prolonged like cycles happening, and then ones that you're just ready to like burst through and be like, okay, I'm over it, I'm done. I'm closing this thing. But like I said, you're one of those people that's very like, you have a lot of integrity and you like to stay where things feel comfortable to you. You could even be like a person that's scared of change or things that are uncertain, things that are unknown. So then the Seven of Swords with the overall energy. The lyric for that one is, everybody cheats, but you gotta know how, you gotta know when, you gotta know why. So I'll figure out what that song is too. I know a lot of these songs, but the ones that came out I don't really listen to a lot. Escape, My Little Secret, it's called. I think that you could be a person that's very scared of hurting other people, but not scared about hurting yourself, which is what's important. Because if you're hurting yourself in the process of trying not to hurt someone else, you're almost hurting yourself tenfold, because you know that you don't want to be in this situation, but you're letting yourself stay in it because you don't feel like you're worthy. It's almost coming from a place of putting others before yourself because you feel like they deserve it more than you, even if it's subconscious and you don't realize it. But you can't be scared to do that, I guess. I mean, for a reasonable amount, yes, scared to hurt other people, but you can't live your life repeating the same cycles, because it'll end up almost like deflecting like a mirror onto the, like, I feel like this has to do with like, it could be like a relationship or a home living space. That's kind of what I'm picking up on, but I wanted to say it kind of deflects on the other person or the other people in your lives in ways that maybe you can't, or we can't see. Like, I've definitely been through something like that before myself as well. But definitely, like, I keep wanting to come back, and this is just like pointing itself out to me, like, you are the star. You aren't meant to be like shadowed by other people or other circumstances in your life that make you dim, or I always forget the words, but just basically that make you not yourself. You deserve to be heard and seen, and you are a person that in this lifetime needs to be seen and heard, even if that's a scary thought for you. But anyway, I'll get into, I feel like I've been talking a lot with this one. I'm gonna get into the oracle now. So we've got combination to start, and that is The Fly. So that movie could be significant to you. Combination, it's like, it makes me think that maybe you've tried a lot of different things in your life that weren't really successful. So you're scared of doing something and it not being successful as well. But you can't live in fear, because it's not, this is also calling to me too, because it makes me think that maybe you don't want to grow old and regret decisions or chances that you didn't take, because it's just not, it's not the way that you or anyone should live. Because I mean, I'm a person that believes that you should live by your passions and by what you want to do, and there's a reasonable amount that you can care and you can worry about the people in your life, but you can still support them and do what you love in ways and still change. You could feel like you're watching, you could dissociate a lot. You could feel like you're watching from the outside looking in on your life sometimes, like you wonder how it got here. but there is a way out. Like, I feel like I should reiterate that. There's always a way out. First love. So first love could be significant in this situation. You could also just... I feel like there's almost like an innocence to this card. Like, and it brings me back to that inner child thing. Because I feel like there's an inner child within you that kind of feels like lost and scared. And kind of has to put on a front every day. To kind of just keep going. And that gets to be a lot after a while, for sure. Putting on a front every single day to try and, you know. And it's not easy to do inner child work. It's awkward. We've all... Any of us that have tried to do it know, like, we've been there. It's a little bit awkward, you know? For some people. Maybe not everyone, but... It's definitely not easy. You could have been the type of kid that would go lay in flowers and pick out flowers. Or just loved being in fields and nature. Like, especially, like, I'm seeing a lot of, like, vast, open, like, grass and everything, hills. Yeah, I'll see if I come back to that, but that's what I'm getting from that. You remind the chicks. Sometimes I wake up crying at night, and sometimes I scream out your name. That song makes me, like, very emotional. Like, I just feel like it's the way that she's singing it. Like, you can feel her well, I think there's a couple people singing, but, like, you can feel the emotions behind the lyrics and behind the way that she is singing. And honestly, it does have that kind of feeling that this is giving off, where it kind of feels a little bit stuck. Like, it feels like you're crying for help. Like, there's someone inside you that is crying for help, but feels like they can't, almost being hushed. It could have been the way that you were raised, too. You could have just been raised to keep going and not, like, acknowledge, like, certain things that bother you. That song could be significant for you. I don't know if I already said that or not. And then we have Howard the Duck, and it says, "You're not from around here, are you?" You could feel like an alien as well. You could have very different beliefs than the people around you. Or you could feel very different, like you're just like, how do I fit in here? Like, where do I belong in this puzzle? Yeah, that's what I'm getting from that. And then I have flow. So recovery, moving on, and finding peace. Which is interesting, with, like, the inner child and everything. I think that it's definitely time. There's a lot of water here. You could be very emotional, or there's also blue. And purple, too. Blue, purple, those are significant. And even pink, but even with the purple opal, too. Water signs. So Pisces... I'm gonna blank on this right now because I'm having one of those days. Pisces, Scorpio, Cancer. So one of those three. Aries too, even with the horns here, it kind of reminds me of Aries. Roses could be significant. Letting things flow though. Even catharsis in itself, you could just need to let a good cry out. Music could be the thing that helps you cry, I guess. I think recognizing things is a big theme in your life right now. Or the next thing that's gonna kind of come in is working on yourself and realizing that you are worth being worked on in the first place. Not just above surface level. Like, you're allowed to dig deep and figure out what it is that makes you who you are. And makes you do the things that you do. And then we've got the Frog Princess. Heed wise counsel. Listen. So, maybe it kind of gives me a vibe of, like, needing to talk to people or reach out for help. or not necessarily reach out for help, but talk to people who have been through similar situations, or people that you're close to that you feel okay with opening up to and being vulnerable with, and talking to them about the situation and seeing what they feel. But as long as it's someone wise that you know you can trust with that on the table, if that makes sense, and listening. But yeah, so that's your reading. I wish you the best of luck in all of this. And it's definitely very heavy, but I feel like coming back to the fact that you're a very strong person, I have no doubt that you'll be able to push through it and give back to yourself the way that you've been needing to probably for years, I would say. But yeah, good luck with all of that. If you chose pile 3 or the azurite, then this is going to be all about how you stand out from the crowd. So the azurite, when I was looking into it, is all about removing physical and emotional blockages. So you could be the type of person that is able to do that for people, which is very cool. Also, this reminds me of like a dragon, specifically like a Chinese dragon, just the way that it's kind of shaped. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see that, but so the year of the dragon, which we're in right now, could be significant to you. You could have been born that year, or it's just something that interests you, or even looking into that. This could be a year that's gonna be very good for you based on it being the year of the dragon. But I feel like also with the blue, it's almost like giving me like third eye energy too. And there's also green in it as well, and green on this card. So with the green, so I always associate the green with like the heart chakra. So you could be someone who feels things in their heart chakra, or you could be clairsentient, I think it's called, when you can feel things. I feel like I should look that up just in case. I'm just gonna roll with it. If not, you'll see it on the screen. But yeah, I feel like you feel things from other people, or you can feel when something's about to happen. I'm gonna put this up here too. It's also just a very different crystal, to come back to it. It's a very like unique one, and it's also very complex and a little bit fragile as well. So that could be like characteristics that you could resonate with. So, and the star being moldavite. Moldavite is definitely a mineral that brings in a lot of change. And there was a little while back, like a lot of misconception that it's bad. But I think the bad thing about it is that it brings in so much change and it removes negative things from your life. So it basically just like, it gives like a tower moment so that new things can be built up, more beautiful things if they weren't meant for you in the first place. So you could be the type of person that is kind of like, also with these cracks, it kind of reminds you of like the tower as well, like kind of breaking apart. You could just break, no, it's not like you break people apart, that's like a bad wording, but like you could be someone who breaks layers of people down and can see through the things that people have built up about themselves. You're the type of person, and I'm like this too, but like when you walk in a room, there could be someone that everybody loves, and for some reason you sense that there's something off about them, that you can't trust them, they can't be trusted. And usually that ends up being right, that like intuition feeling, but you're one of those people that can sense that from a mile away. And you might even be able to feel what it is that you don't like about them, or what it is. Maybe it could have to do with their morals or whatever, but you could just know when you're not gonna mesh with someone for sure. And with the infinity too, I was gonna check and see if there was an infinity on the other cards, but you could believe in karma too. but I'm hearing like What Goes Around by Justin Timberlake. So you could be one of those people that lets things deal. I saw a post the other day that kind of reminds me of this. It was like, because I'm a Scorpio rising. It's like when Scorpio risings let karma do the work instead of doing it themselves. So you could be one of those people that lets karma do the work instead of like getting mad or getting angry or doing things out of like spite. You're one of those people that believes that like you'll let karma deal with it and they deal with it 10 times better than you could. You could also like smoking as well as something that I could see from that for some reason, but yeah, I'll get into the tarot now. Oh my goodness. You could be tired or need some rest. I hadn't yawned all day until this reading. I swear. Five of Swords reversed. Let's see. And there's a star in there too. I feel like you could just exude star energy, like you're different, like you're almost, I know exotic is a weird word to use for it, but like you're different from what people see normally in a good way. Maybe you could feel self-conscious that you're like too weird, but like you're not. Like people just notice you a lot. And even your energy is different too. Ew. Five of Wands. That's pretty cool. 5, 5. Those could be significant numbers. 55. I feel like you're a person that transmutes pain into something that can be used creatively. The Five of Wands can usually sometimes be like even like a battle between people, but I'm not seeing that. It's almost like collaborative here, like they're working together. So it feels like you're taking every bit of pain and almost using that as inspiration for your work or what you do. And people notice that. So that's actually very cool. Selenite, it's like cleansing. Smoky quartz. Yeah, that's cool. Okay. So like the smoky quartz is coming from this one and that's in reverse. So it's almost like instead of, you're just very good at clarifying things as well. You could be someone who's a clear speaker or who speaks their mind, but I just feel like your presence is very cleansing too. And you're just, like I said, able to transmute things that are like stereotypically negative. That one was sticking out under the star too. So the King of Pentacles with Peridot. Oh, and the Seven of Wands in reverse. And the Five of Cups. And then on the bottom of the deck, we have the Six of Swords with Aragonite, which I have over here. So with the King of Coins is very much someone that you see as like a leader, someone who's good with their finances for sure, who has mastered their finances. So you could very well resonate with that energy, or people see you that way. You give off that kind of vibe that you have things figured out, that you're wealthy. That could just be something that people notice about you. With the Seven of Wands in reversed, it's kind of giving me the feeling that like you have a lot of battle wounds, or you have a lot of even like trauma, but you don't wear that on your sleeve. That's not something that people can see with their naked eye unless you open up about it. You're a person that's very like keeps their traumas and keeps their wounds to themselves, which it doesn't hurt to get that out to the right people. I just want to let you know that. But you're definitely very closed off when it comes to that. There's just a lot of different layers to you. But people wouldn't suspect that you've been through a lot based on the way that you... I know that's a stupid way. I don't know. Like, I wouldn't want people to look at me and assume that, like, you know, everything was just handed to me, or that I don't have trauma or whatever. Everyone has some sort of trauma. But anyway, it almost just diminishes the value of what you've been through in a way. But I feel like when you speak about it, or when you talk about certain topics and you give advice, people can tell that you've been through things to be able to give that advice. So that's why only the people that are closer to you, who get to hear your advice and get to hear your stories, actually know that you have a lot of wisdom and you've seen a lot of things. But on the outside, it looks like you just, like, nothing bothers you, if that makes sense. Like, you're always very, like, it was a very happy, like, energetic vibe. You could wear pins too. I don't know why this keeps sticking out to me. Or what is it called? Like a brooch? I don't know. But yeah, those could be significant. Also, having tattoos. You could have tattoos. So then we have the Five of Cups under the Star, which is interesting because usually the Five of Cups is all about, like, loss. Usually you see it with, like, the cups spilled and everything. But it's interesting because the girl here is almost, like, bathing and nurturing her heart. So it could be that you've been hurt, but like I said, you, like, transmute it. So that could be where this comes in, where you, like, really do make sure to give back to yourself and make sure to take care of who you are, so that you can be that person for everyone else. So that you can be very cheery. Like, I feel like you definitely like to come off that way, where it's like you want to be the reason why someone smiles or someone has a better day. You want to be responsible for that. And it's really good that you take good care of yourself, because it's really hard to, especially in a busy lifestyle. You could be always on the run too. I don't know why that kind of stuck out to me, but with the Six of Swords too, the Six of Swords is like moving on from something that happened. It could also be like physically moving too, however that resonates to you, but you're definitely someone who people see as being very strong. And your voice is very valued, your opinions are very valued, even if it seems like they aren't. I feel like there are things that you say that definitely stay with people, for sure. But yeah, definitely you could be moving on from something that had hurt you, or something in the past anyway. It's really that energy of, like, moving forward and not looking back. So however that applies to you, you could just be a person that does that often, like you don't look back once you've moved on, or it's just maybe you could be in a period of your life where you're having to do that. So I'll get into the Oracle now. So first off, we've got Warrior, and I believe that's Ash versus the Evil Dead. So that movie could be significant to you, but you're definitely, like I was saying, like, even with this card, you can kind of see, like, it gives very, like, warrior vibes. But that coming out is just extra confirmation. Definitely very strong, a strong-willed person. And you're fearless as well. But like I said, with, like, that thing that I mentioned about traumas, it's like you've been through things that a lot of people would have a hard time overcoming. Like, a lot of people will take things like that and almost bring it with them in their day-to-day life. Like, it almost brings them down, but you learned how to transmute it and how to work on yourself and come out as a positive person and not bring that energy with you. You leave that in the past. I also heard you're not afraid to get your hands dirty, so you could be, like, not afraid to, like, stick up for yourself, or not, especially, like, other people. Like, you could just be not afraid to stick up for you and others. You could have like a humanitarian kind of vibe to you. Worth having. So I feel like people who do have access to you definitely feel like they are lucky to have you in their lives. There's not a lot, I keep coming back to this, there's not a lot of people who would fight for someone else the way that you fight for people. You're just very passionate about the people in your life and making sure that they get the best treatment. And I feel like, too, that comes from allowing only the best type of people in your life. She was kindness in a hard crowd. And that's White Room by Cream. Yeah, like, kind of like what I was saying, like, it's just very much like you are very positive, very nice, like, people want to be around you, your energy shines bright, especially when it comes to, like, it's funny because when I was seeing that, I could see you, like, almost in public, and the way that you stand out, like, it's almost like you're in the center and people are all around you. Like, I feel like maybe you don't always want to attract the most attention, but you definitely stand out in a room of people. So then we have Spider-Man, and it says places to be, webs to shoot. So yeah, I feel like I was saying, you could just always be on the run. You could also feel like you have like a second identity, or like a secret identity. Maybe you do things that people don't really know about, or people wouldn't expect you to do. You kind of surprise people with it. But yeah, definitely someone that's always on the go. And it does remind me of like that humanitarian kind of vibe, like, you know, Spider-Man. And then we have Shadow. Wholeness, integration, and repressed emotions. So yeah, feeling very whole. I would see, maybe look inside. When it comes to this, you could be someone who gets really angry too, you know? There's sometimes I could maybe potentially see you as getting very, very angry, like getting worked up because you really care about those people that you want to protect, or you care about protecting yourself. Maybe that is also something that needs to be, because when I saw that, I kind of looked over here too. It could be that you need to maybe address that a little bit more and see why you get so, like, riled up, I guess, if that makes sense. But overall, you definitely, like, I feel like you're not afraid of your shadow. But that's one thing. Maybe that's something that you've been curious about yourself. Like, I feel like maybe even me saying this, like, you felt that before. Like, you're like, I wonder why I get so heated. I wonder why I get so angry over these things. But maybe that's just something that you need to sit down and maybe do some shadow work on. But I feel like you aren't afraid to address that at all. And then lastly, we have Beauty and the Beast. And when I did see this come out the first time, it made me think of Jekyll and Hyde. So you could be like very like, you could have two very different, but that's the same thing with like the Spider-Man, like being two different people. Like you could have two very, very different personalities depending on the day, or depending on who like tries you. I know it's such a funny wording, but like whoever like, it's like mess around and find out. Like I feel like that's kind of like your personality. But yeah, depending on like the people or how they're treating you, like you've definitely got two very different sides to you. So the way that one person experiences you could be completely different to the next. But yeah, and then Beauty and the Beast, and that says you need some space in a relationship. It's a different message. It's very separate from the other ones. But it could be that it could be a relationship, or it could be friendships. But there's definitely a need to like kind of take a walk outside and kind of think I don't know, that's a weird message to get, but it's like I feel like you need to go outside and think and just be in nature, kind of separate yourself. I've given that message before, but this one's a little bit different. It's like you almost need to like separate yourself from this person or these people and be on your own for a second. You could, where you feel a lot of other people's energy, you could also, it's not that you mimic, but you could just like it attaches onto you sometimes. And I feel like there's a need to like kind of separate from that for a little bit and then come back to it when you're ready and maybe approach it in a different way. But yeah, it doesn't hurt to do that. Just to go out anyway. I know I like going out on a walk or whatever. But yeah, this was your reading. It was very cool. And I hope that everything works out well for you.